A pleasant morning to each and everyone. It's nice seeing you again this morning. How are you today, class? Alright, it's good to hear that you are all doing well. But before we delve deeper in this lesson, we should not forget the presence of our Holy Christ. So, class number 7, can you please lead a prayer? Amen. Thank you. Alright, to avoid any unforeseen circumstances and to have a positive learning environment in these classrooms, we have our classroom rules here where the acronym word is LEARN, where L stands for listen carefully, E is for engage actively, A is for act responsibly, R is for respect others, and N, never give up. So before we delve deeper in our lesson this lovely morning, I have an activity here to awaken your mind. It is called Fact or Filter. So what will happen in this activity is that I show you some pictures in the screen and you will guess the answer. It's either fact or filter. Then I go with the correct answers. Are you ready, class? Alright. Okay, so here is the first picture. So class number 11, can you please guess the picture? It's either fact or filter. Alright, so let's see if class number 11 is indeed correct. Oh, it's filter. So as you can see in the picture, it is very impossible to lose 20 pounds in just one day. So class number 11 is indeed correct. Okay, next, let's have the second picture. Okay, class, you can all guess the answer. Alright, so let's see if you are all correct. It is indeed filter. So according to that picture, is eating bananas unlocks superhuman strength, so it is not true at all. Okay, let's move on to the next picture. Class number 5, can you please guess if it is fact or filter? Alright, it is indeed fact. For the next picture, class number 6, can you guess if it is fact or filter? Yes, it is indeed a filter. So as we all know that AI, although AI helps us to make our life more easier, but they can't replace our doctors. So for the last picture, I will call class number 23 to guess if it is fact or filter. Alright, it is indeed fact because bees keep our planet alive. Alright, a great job everyone. As we saw in our facts or filter activity, not everything we see online is definitely true. Some posts are factual, but some are exaggerated and completely false. And that's exactly why today's lesson is very important. So every day we scroll past hundreds of posts, images, videos, ads, and stories. But do we actually know how to tell what's real from what's not? And do we understand how media affects the way we think, we feel, and make decisions? To help us become smarter and safer users of technology, we're going to explore today's topic, where media and cyber or digital literacy. So, we already know what topic will be discussed this morning, but before we delve deeper, we are going to read the learning objective first. And for the learning objectives, after a 60-minute discussion, you students with at least 80% accuracy will be able to analyze different media and digital content by distinguishing between what media literacy is and is not, and identifying the challenges that affect how people understand information online. Next is evaluate the credibility, purpose, and emotional influence of digital information by applying key skills and competencies of digital information and social emotional literacy. And visually engaging poster that promotes responsible media and digital literacy practices, reflecting their understanding of digital natives and the challenges in digital literacy education. And that's all for the learning objectives. So, but before that, let's have our activity first. So, everyone, kindly get one foot sheet of paper, and I'll show you some pictures on screen, and you are going to identify whether it is media literacy or not. Just answer it for 5 minutes. All right, your 5 minutes is done. Kindly pass your paper. Okay, thank you everyone. And for the discussion, I will give the floor to Judy.
Excellent work, everyone. So, in our activity, we identified examples of media literacy and what isn't. And now, let's take a step further and explore our topic for today. So, let's start with media literacy. So media literacy, it is a broad and essential skill in today's digital world. So it helps individuals understand and make sense of information presented through different media platforms such as TV, social media, news websites, advertisements, and even memes. And like all the literacies discussed in the book, media literacy has various definitions among scholars. And let's start with the first one. So according to After Hyde of 1993, media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and communicate messages in a wide variety of forms. So when we say access, it means finding and using the media content. So an example for this is a student searches online for news about a recent typhoon, a recent earthquake, or etc. When you say analyze, it means breaking down the content to understand its meaning and purpose. And one best example for this is when a student that checks who created the article and what message it conveys. Evaluate is judging the credibility, reliability, and quality of the content, like when the student compares the article with the other sources to verify its accuracy. Communicate means is Communicate is expressing your ideas using different formats. So in this definition, it means that media literacy is in a wide variety of forms. So let's move on to the next definition by Chris and Potter of 1998. So it defines that media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create messages across a variety of contexts. So Christ and Potter emphasizes the creative role of individuals. So they see media literacy not only as an ability to understand media, but also to produce original content responsibly. So example for this is a student or students creates a TikTok video raising awareness about cyberbullying. Next one is according to Hobbes of 1998, which it defines media literacy is the process of critically analyzing and learning to create one's own messages in print, audio, and multimedia. So this means that literacy is a lifelong process, not only something learned in one lesson. So those are the definitions of media literacy among different scholars. Now, let's move on to understanding what media literacy is not. So these are some lists of actions that are often mistaken for being representative of media literacy. So the first one is criticizing media alone is not media literacy. So, for example, a student saying that this show is boring. So, this action is not being media literate because media literacy is when you are analyzing or when you are evaluating, and being media literate is that if that certain student explains why the show uses certain techniques and how does it affect viewers so that it can conclude that the show is boring. So criticizing media alone is not media literacy. Next one is producing media alone is not media literacy. So an example for this is a student making a TikTok dance video is not automatically practicing media literacy. So a TikTok, it is a social media platforms, and it is an example of media or a multimedia. So when a student making a dance video, it is not automatically a practice of media literacy, not unless if they reflect it on how it communicates meaning or influences the audience. Next one is teaching with media is not teaching media literacy. So an example for this is showing a movie in a class does not teach media literacy unless the student analyzes the story, the message, the bias, or what is the purpose of the movie. Next one is analyzing from one perspective is not media literacy. So only looking at a political news article from a one viewpoint is not enough. So students must also consider the other sides or the possible ideas and the target audience. So it should look for more than one sources to verify to know which article is the proper one. Next one is knowing what to avoid is not media literacy. So simply telling the students not to watch violent content is not media literacy. So media literacy teaches them why certain content affects or content creators affects behavior and how to choose it wisely. So those are um, some situations that are often mistaken and being representative of media literacy. Now let's move on to the challenges to media literacy education. First one is misinformation overload. So students are exposed to a huge amount or false or misleading informations online. So example for this is that students often see fake news on Facebook or TikTok and that it spreads faster than the truth. So that is misinformation overload. Second one is limited critical thinking skills. So some learners may struggle to analyze, evaluate, or question the media content. So this is a challenge because some students may instantly believe a rumor shared online without checking sources. Third one is lack of teacher training. So educators may not have sufficient knowledge or resources to teach media literacy effectively. Like teachers may rely on old methods or traditional methods and struggle to teach about algorithms, digital footprints, and online safety. Next one is cultural and social biases. So media messages often reflect biases that can shape students' understanding. So media may depict certain groups positively while the others are negatively stereotyped. So students may accept these messages without realizing the bias. Next one is access and equity issues. So not all students have equal access to technology or reliable internet. And some students have laptops and fast Wi-Fi while the others have only limited mobile data. And affects how much or like this affects how much they can practice media literacy skills.
Morning class. Today, we're going to talk about digital literacy. So, before I explain, we know kitam jud tanan mogamit ta og cellphone or computer every day. Now, have you ever thought about how we use technology responsibly and effectively? That's what digital literacy is all about. Now, please read the definition of digital literacy on the screen. Thank you. Thank you, class. Now, let me ask you, based on what you read, what do you think makes someone digital literate? Anyone? Yes. Student number 5. Exactly. Digital literacy isn't just using gadgets, but how you understand, evaluate, create, and communicate information using the digital technology. So it's more than just using devices, it's just how you use it responsibly. Now, we have here four, one, two, three, four, seven key components of digital literacy by Shapiro and Hughes in 1996 literacies. So the first one is tool literacy. So competence in using hardware and software tools. What does it mean is knowing how to use digital devices and application properly. So this goes beyond simply just clicking any buttons. So it includes understanding how software works. That's it. And the next one is resource literacy. So understanding forms and access to information resources. So resource literacy is all about knowing how and where to find accurate information. So nowadays, information is everywhere, but not everything is reliable. So that's it. We need to find a trusted information. And the third one is social structural literacy. So the meaning is understanding how information is produced and its social significance. So um, before believing the news on the social media, you might check if it came from a trusted organization, and you need to understand the structure behind the information, uh, where it came from. And the next is research literacy, using IT tools to conduct research. So just like we're doing today, we we use digital tools to look for an answer to questions. So this includes knowing how to search effectively using keywords, using advanced search filters, and understanding citation and analyzing the results. So just like we did in our research, we we need to align our information to our research title. Next is publishing literacy. So ability to communicate and publish information. So you can create digital content and share it appropriately. So posting on Facebook or TikTok is already a form of publishing, but this literacy focuses on responsible sharing. So you need to post it responsibly. So next one is emerging technologies literacy. So understanding new developments in IT. So technology changes constantly nowadays. So this literacy is about staying updated, and being willing to learn new tools. So it doesn't mean you need to master everything, but you should be open to experimenting and adapting. So and the last one is critical literacy. So ability to evaluate the benefits and implication of technologies. So this means um, it is the one of the most important skills today. So it means analyzing the information deeply before accepting it. So just like we today, there's so many memes, fake news, and AI. So you need to question the credibility, the purpose, accuracy, and bias of what you read or what you watch. Now, that's it for the key components of digital literacy by Shapiro and Hughes. So we're going next to the underpinnings. Now, now please read the description of underpinnings, class number 7. Thank you. So, the underpinnings are the basic skills you need before becoming a digital literate. So, first, we all know traditional literacy, reading, writing, and understanding the text. So, second is the computer or IC literacy. So, knowing how to use devices such as phones, tablets, and computers. So, without this foundation, you can't develop higher digital skills. That's why you need these skills, underpinnings. Next is background literacy, background knowledge. Please read class number 9. Okay. Thank you. Class number 9. So, background knowledge refers to your understanding of the information's environment where information lives and how it travels. So, let's say for just example, information come from the website or online social media or videos or even in the cloud storage. So it also means understanding how information is stored and how it's shared. So if you know where to look and how to find things are organized, so you can find information faster and avoid the unreliable sources and identify the trustworthy ones. Yeah, that's the background knowledge. Now let's move on to the central competencies. Now, read the list of the central competencies, class number 11. Thank you, class number 11. So next, this is the core skills in every modern learner's needs. So this one is similar to the key and components of digital literacy. So the number one is reading and understanding digital format. So this means only reading online articles, watching videos responsibly, understanding hyperlinks, and navigating websites. You need to understand every format in the class. Next is creating and communicating. Creating and communicating. So, where is it? This means you just don't consume the information, so you need to make your own also. So this includes the writing, posting, creating videos, or making presentation, or sharing ideas online. So if you share anything online, so that is creating and communicating. Next is evaluation of information. So this means checking if what you see online is true, reliable, and unbiased. So fake news and edited content are common nowadays. So this skills is so very essential. And the fourth one is knowledge assembly. This is combining information from different sources or for new understanding. For example, let's say for example, when we gather ideas for our research, we we co- we compare two sources and make it one and put it in our research that align to our research title. Uh, and the fifth one is information literacy. So this is knowing how to search effectively using keywords, just like the digital literacy from the from Shapiro on use information literacy using keywords. And the last one is media literacy. So understanding how media influence you. So ads, influencer, news, trends, and digital storytelling. That's it. Now let's move on to the last skills of digital literacy, which is attitudes and perspectives. So please read class number 13. Thank you, class number 13. So attitude and perspective is this remind us that digital literacy is not only about what you can do, so but also about what kind of person you are online. So the first one is independent learning. So this means um, the initiative. So this means having the initiative to figure things out on your own. So looking up for tutorials, samples, exploring new applications, and learning digital skills without someone to teach you. That is the independent learning. So and the next one is moral and social literacy. This is about behaving responsibly and ethically online. So respecting others and avoiding harmful content, not spreading misinformation, sharing AI content, so and being mindful of what you post. So it also means understanding digital etiquette. So how to communicate politely online, not trash talking, toxic online. So this is the attitude and perspective. So overall, digital literacy is all about values and respect, responsibility and being careful with your digital actions. That's it for the digital literacies. Next one is
Good morning, class. So, our topic for today is the information literacy within the digital literacy. So, let's define first the information literacy mean. So, this means that the ability to find, to evaluate, organize, and use to share information that effectively and ethically in a digital environment. So, it is a core component of a digital literacy and simple terms, it's knowing how to find trustworthy and information online to deciding if it is accurate and using it as responsibly. So there are types of information literacy. So first is that the involving media landscape. So this means that the text emphasize that how digital media is easy to manipulate compared to the traditional print. So it means that this is to manipulation makes that skepticism a crucial survival skill for anyone consuming media. The second is the information literacy as a core skills. And according to Ishet Akalaya 2004 highlighted information literacy as a key component of digital literacy. That means that not just finding information, but it also understanding the context or bias and reliability. And the next is the filtering and evaluating information. This means that the information literacy act as a filter and consumers must be able to sort through information presented via digital media. So this means that the goal is to separate what erroneous, irrelevant, and biased from what's demonstrable factual. And the next is the focus of information literacy studies that the text points out that many studies on information literacy focus more on the ability to search to search for information. So there needs to be more emphasized that on cognitive and pedagogical aspect, and that just because sometimes is polished or comes from a well-known source doesn't automatically make it true. Next is in the Philippines and the Central Visayas. So in social landscape, the Philippines has a very highly social media usage rate. So education, or this means the teaching people how to think critically about information, not just where to find it. And to assess our challenges is to access to reliable internet can be challenged in some areas because kanang uban nga areas kay dili jud ba maka-connect og internet nga kanang maka-access jud dayon nga internet nga dali-dali. So language barriers can make it difficult for some Filipinos to access quality information in their native language. And the next is the cultural factor may also influence how people perceive and evaluate information. And it's about having the cognitive skills to evaluate information if it is effectively. And the next, let's define our social information literacy within the digital written literacy. So this means that highlighting it is importance alongside information literacy because it emphasizes the needs to navigate the internet with an understanding of a social and emotion cues, recognizing that the online world is complex and filled with both positive and negative aspects. That text implores that social emotional literacy within the digital literacy, it is explaining why it's just important as knowing how to find information online. And it's about understanding the social and emotional aspect of the internet. There are the key points of social emotional literacy within the digital literacy. The first is the social emotional literacy. This as this is essential for navigating the internet, helping to user answer question about the online interaction and our request. So this is the ability to navigate the internet by understanding social cues, recognizing emotions, and making informed decision based on those understanding. Why it is matter? Because it helps you answer question like, is this person online telling the truth, or is this request for help nga kanang dudua lang? And the second is uh, unwritten rules. So this means that the internet lacks hard and fast rules, requiring users to be familiar with the cyberspace, the cyberspace. So unlike our real life, the internet doesn't have clear-cut rules, but you can't always rely on the formal laws or maka-guidelines. So, makahelp po siya sa tua, like as a students. Then, why it is matters? Because you need to learn an unspoken rules of online behavioral. Imo po siyang gamiton as a tarong pod, like how to spot a fake profile or recognize a phishing scam. Dili pang kuan lang, scam. Then the next is internet as a dual environment. So the internet is described as a both a global village and a global containing both truth and falsehood. So the internet is like a small town where people to connect, but it also like a jungle where dangers lurk. So why it is matters? Because you need to be aware. Gamiton pod nimo, ma-aware pod ka nga magamit pod ka ng internet nga dili pod ka ma-scam sa that both good and bad things exist online and you need to be able to tell the difference. Next is the user qualities. So, social emotional literacy requires that user to be critically, analytically, and mature. Sorry. So, to be good social emotional literacy, you need to be critical, question things, analytical, or think things through, and the mature use your experience. Imo siyang gamiton. So why it is matters? Because these qualities help us to assess situation and make smart choices online. And the next is the age and the online behavioral. So while older user may be less, they are not exempt from occasional lapses and judgment, sorry. So older people might have more life experience, but they're not immune to online scam. Dili sila makuan, but why it is matters? Because everyone needs to be regardless of your age. And the last is avoiding traps. This means it is a digitally literate user avoid online traps by understanding social and emotional patterns in cyberspace. So people who are good to social emotional literacy can avoid online trap because they understand how people behave online. And this help you to stay safe and avoid being triggered or manipulated. But in a simple terms, in a social emotional literacy, this can be help us that being it's about understanding people and situation. Overall, the text emphasizes that being digitally literate means that more than just knowing how to use technology, and it also means being socially and emotionally integrate online. That's all.
Alright, now let's talk about the digital native. What is digital native? The term digital native was made popular by Mark Prensky in 2001. It refers to the generation born during the information age. These are people who grow up with the internet, computer, and even smartphones are normal in their life. They are compared to digital immigrants who are older generation who had to learn these technologies as adults. Because digital natives grow up surrounded by technology, people assume that they are automatically expert at using it. They create a belief that schools were failing because they didn't understand how these new humans learn. That's why the myth came up in this digital native or in this information age. What is myth? So, the myth in this popular assumption is that because these students or that this generation grow up with technology, they said they are automatically digital literate. That's why that myth is wrong. Why? Because first is the familiarity is not literacy. Just because a student knows how to use TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or play video games, it does not mean that they know how to evaluate information, spot fake news, or behave ethically online. They said students are expert at using it, but the students are expert in just using the internet for personal entertainment like social media and video games or even watching videos and photos. The next term was wrong is the entertainment gap. Why? The students are expert at using technology for entertainment. However, when you ask them to use technology for work or research, like for example finding a scholarly journal, they feel or they fail. They don't know how to navigate the boring or complex part of the internet because they don't know how to find or understand a research journal because it's not entertainment at all. The next wrong or the next myth wrong is the access gap. This point out that not all kids are born equal. A child from a wealthy family has more access to technology than a child who are born in poor family. Therefore, being born in 2005 or in early information age doesn't make you a tech genius or a technology genius. It's having access and education thus. It's not about being born with skills. It's about access and experiences. Why? Because not all of us are born in a wealthy family. Some of us is born in a poor who is not accessible to the computer, technology, or even internet. That's why the students are not born experts. Schools have to teach them, but it's explained that it's very difficult for several reasons. That's why the challenges to digital literacy education. Everyone agrees that teaching digital literacy is essential. However, according to Brown 2017, state that there is no single comprehensive rulebook or framework for how to do it. That's why there are 5-point rule to teach the digital literacy in education. First is the teach media and digital literacy integrally. Don't make digital literacy a separate or boring class. Instead, weave it into every single subject, math, science, language arts, or even social studies. This means that do not create a separate class called Digital Literacy 101, but instead, you can learn it in something to think critically about. Teachers should weave digital literacy into the math or even science or just a history. A student develops a moral framework by practicing it into real world context, not just by hearing a lecture about it. The next one is master your subject matter. As a teacher, you must be an expert in your own subject, like of us in math. And just as importantly, you must be able to explain why your subject is important to learn. Teacher must be expert in their own field to effectively integrate literacy. If you are confident is math teacher, you can explain why this is important. Check resources or check sources when reading about the mathematics world. If you don't know your subject well, you can't teach the critical thinking part of it. That's why you must explain to students why you are teaching or what you are teaching. The next one is think multidisciplinary. Realize that how we communicate it just as important as we communicate. Combine different subjects. the text uses the example like math, or just it is a combination of a math and communication. The math example, usually math is just about numbers or computation. It also changes, like you can change it to ask students create a web page explaining their linear equation, or designing a poster infographic about a math concept. This forces works the students to understand the math and learn how to use digital tools to communicate the math clearly to an audience or to their fellow classmates. And the next strategy is explore motivation, not just message. Train students to stop and ask why, not just what. It is the higher thinking skills to ask the students. Move beyond what a message says and ask why it is was sent, or why it is important. Why is this essential? This habit of questioning the goal is not just to find the right answer, but to build a habit of expertise. If you see a pamphlet warning about this, ask like, is there really an outbreak, or is someone trying to scare? That's why, like, you are trying to ask the higher thinking skills of the students. Asking why, how, like asking them to critically think what we're going to answer. It's not about just what the subject is, but it's about how this subject going, how this subject will go through, how this subject will understand them. Next strategy is leverage student skills. So use the topic that students are already passionate about, like video games, music, celebrities, Koreans, or even the dramas. You can use it to use what students already love. That's why students are often bored by school's topic, but it can interest them because of their personal love, or personal passionate. They are passionate in it. That's why if a students love video games, let them do a research project that involving into a game, like involving to a gaming consoles, because they are motivated. That is what their passionate is. That is their love. That's why if they are motivated in that, they will work harder, they will research harder, they will research deeper, and produce better work. You can use that passion to teach them the research skills they need. To summarize it all, the myth we taught kids were native experts at technology, but they are only expert at entertainment, not literacy. And the problem with that is schools lack a clear plan or framework on how to teach the deep stuff, like critical thinking. That's why there is a lot of plan or strategies you can use it to understand, or to give a clear plan to your students. And to fix this, don't teach it separately. Integrate it into every subject. You can use digital involved into your class. Focus on why question, and use students' personal interest to get them excited about your topic. And that will be all about digital native and challenges of digital literacy in education.
Alright, thank you everyone for discussing the media or cyber or digital literacy. So now let's move forward to our performance task. Are you ready, class? Alright, you have no choice at all. Okay, our performance task is called MediaWise Digitally Smart Poster Making Task. So here are the instructions. First is the class will be divided into 3 groups, and each group will create a visually engaging poster that promotes responsible media and digital literacy practices. And of course, your poster must show your understanding of digital natives and the challenges in digital literacy education. And of course, work together as a group to design, organize, and complete your poster. And after that, choose one representative from your group, and the chosen representative will explain your poster to the class, highlighting its message and important elements.